5:30, so we'll get started. Really appreciate you all joining us. I want to take this quick moment to thank everyone who's been participating in the special board meeting and the board meeting in the last few weeks to help our board, really hear from our community as far as what's on your minds and where your preferences are for things. Really helpful. So to hear all perspectives, really appreciate that. Thank you again for that. If you've attended those last two, you know that we shared a lot of information. Although we did hear from several of you, it was really geared for staff to share quite a bit on the content, the idea of reopening and waiver and all the things that entails. So what we'd like to do tonight is, our updates aren't as substantial tonight, but we would like to share a few things and also then really give you a platform to kind of hear from you. This is important for us to use these opportunities, the conversation with the community to get a sense of what's on your mind and what's working, what's not, and so on. So expect a little bit more of that, of kind of Q&A, getting to that part quicker. So a couple things we do want to just kind of share. Some important dates coming up. We have a school site council meeting on November 17th. That will be in the evening. I believe the start time is 5 or 5:30. It'll be on our calendar. You can confirm, but those will be on a Zoom, and you're welcome to attend and participate in that meeting. Additionally, like the November 20th is the last day before the week-long Thanksgiving break, and we have what we think is a pretty exciting kind of different day with the outdoor classroom day. More details will follow on that, but we hope we get strong participation and get kids off of screens as much as we can on that day. Those are important dates. Again, a reminder that tomorrow there's no school in observance of Veterans Day holiday. So there is no school tomorrow. Reminder of that. Enjoy. And then as far as topics we want to share, we want to talk a little bit about grades. Report cards are being finalized and they'll be going home at the end of next week. So we want to talk to you a little bit about that. And then, of course, share any important updates regarding our waiver application and then just reopening in general. Those are our topics. So I'll start off with grades and just want to help, more than anything, manage parent expectations. Our report cards will have traditional grades on them. If you've been with us for well into last year, you have a sense of what our report cards look like. They're not going to look drastically different. We, beginning this school year, return to traditional grading, even though with distance learning, it's ripe with a lot of challenges. And so the point of bringing this up now is to help manage expectations on your part. Grading is always challenging. Anytime you're trying to summarize what a child knows or doesn't know, you will fall short of being precise on being able to share what they know or don't know. That's just the nature of trying to assign some sort of representation, whether it's a number or a letter, to summarize what a student knows or doesn't know. So anytime you try to summarize anything, you lose the details. So that's already an existing challenge. Now you just kind of couple that with distance learning, where teachers are being asked to assess from a distance. And now we introduce a whole new layer of challenges to really getting as precise information as we could if they were in front of us. As if, being at a distance isn't enough. One of the other things that's challenging that adds to that is when kids are at school, we control the conditions, right? They're all there for the same amount of time under the same conditions. And assessing them and grading them is a little bit more standardized. It's essentially the same experience for everybody. That goes away in distance learning, right? We know we have students, very young ones, who are at home getting absolutely no support from parents who are working full-time. And then we have the opposite end of the spectrum. We have kiddos who are getting maybe a little too much support at times on some of their assignments and assessments, making it tough for us to really gauge what is it that they know or they were helped with. So in the grand scheme of things, that additional help is not harmful. It's good if it's accurate, right? But it does make grading tough. So that's just a kind of a peek behind the curtain of some of the challenges with grading in distance learning. So on each of your report cards, you'll see a statement that just kind of summarize what I just said, that there are plenty of challenges and concerns with grading precisely from a distance. So our teachers have been working hard to make sure they're grading with integrity. But one thing you'll note, in addition to this comment, is that you may see in certain areas your child receive an asterisk instead of a letter grade. And that may be assigned because we can't with confidence determine the level of proficiency that they've reached. And in that case, we're going to notify you with that. An extreme example could be, we know that we have students who have very real challenges to just even attending our classes. And so their failure, or inability to turn, we can say failure, their inability to turn in and complete work for us to assess is not due to how little they've learned. It's due to the fact that they don't have as great access as other students to school. Even though they have a device and they have connectivity, there are still other challenges there. So in that sense, it wouldn't be grading with integrity to fail that student, with an F. An F is reserved for someone who has the opportunities to learn, to demonstrate proficiency, and then doesn't, right? Or has real challenges, but is still presented the opportunity to show what they know. So things are a little bit nuanced and different because the fact that we don't control the conditions that we're assessing kids. There's a lot of factors weighing in. And so we've gone round and round with this. We don't profess to have a perfect system, but we're honoring what's in our charter. We're honoring what's the law as far as having grades in distance learning. And then we're staying true to making sure what we tell you is as accurate as we were able to determine. So that's really the shift in grading, is that you may see a symbol, the asterisk next to a letter, where a letter grade would go in any instance in which we can't confidently tell you what we know a student has mastered and the level of proficiency they've reached, so the letter grade they've earned. Again, there are plenty of areas in which you'll see letter grades, and those will be determined by our best understanding of teachers' observations, of teachers' conversations with students, and of course the work and the assessments they've completed. So you won't see a radical change in the report card. It'll look very similar to your traditional Allegiance report card, but with this very important caveat that in some instances, the challenges to grading at a distance are going to result in that asterisk. We're having conversations with our authorizer, with other school leaders around, how do we navigate this time, and one thing that, and what the implications are of, going on 8 months of school of distance learning, and having had these conversations with other school leaders and being aware of what others are doing, we know, we're confident in our model, all things considered, that from the first day of closure, we kept teaching kids new information or meeting them where they are. We know other schools made the decision to stop teaching new content and only review, and there's benefits in that, but there's also benefits in just kind of continuing to teach kids new information. That's the decision we made, and and we know that the majority of students are responding to that. So it was right for our kids, for our school. So those things kind of help us gauge, what is it that our kids need next? How are they measuring up? But on what is clearly a national challenge, we know that we're continuing to provide for our kids, and a lot of our own local data is showing that our kids are progressing. As a whole, they're progressing. I just want to share a little bit about that regarding grades, and so you have a sense of what to expect when you see report cards a little over a week from now. Ms. Lohoff, I know you're on here. Did you want to add anything to this discussion of grades and report cards?
No, only that when they see asterisks for our enrichment courses, that does not necessarily indicate that they did not access or provide teachers with the proper amount of feedback. We just know that enrichment courses, particularly being recorded, look considerably different in all homes. So just be aware that all enrichment courses are going to receive an asterisk, and that does not imply the same as within the academic content that is being reported out on the report card, okay? Other than that, no, thank you.
Great. Thank you for that. And next topic I wanted, just to shift into the reopening and the waiver. Our waiver application has been completed and submitted. It was submitted last week, end of last week, to the county Department of Public Health. We've not heard back. We don't expect to hear back for a couple weeks. So, in that response, we don't expect necessarily an approval, just a response that it's been received and possibly questions, or maybe even some feedback for revisions. Don't know. That's all my best understanding of how this process works for San Bernardino County is that it's expect 2 weeks to hear back, and then you might get questions, you might get a hard no, or you might get or you will go from there. But I'm confident that we won't have an answer anytime sooner than that regarding our waiver for TK through 6th grade. So just for those who are looking at that in timelines, that's important to kind of know. So if you sort of play that out and are interested in knowing how soon could we possibly return, students return, under the waiver, if we're not going to hear back until about November 20th, then we go on Thanksgiving break, and then we're back in December for a little over 2.5 weeks, less than 3 weeks. Sometime in that time is when we'll be getting kind of like a final word on our initial waiver application. That's what I'm anticipating. So if granted, we would be hearing about that just about the time that we go on winter break, meaning we really wouldn't, the soonest we'll be opening is sometime in January, probably the second half of January, to make sure, this transition to distance learning, to hybrid learning from distance learning takes place, well, and we're prepared when kids, the bulk of kids show up. So the simplest term is, for those who are like, when could we possibly open under the waiver? The earliest I'm anticipating is mid to the end of January. And that's all assuming that things are moving at a good pace and it gets approved and so on. What I just don't have much clarity on is, how much does the current local COVID data, the case rate, how much is that influencing the county Department of Public Health's decision on granting waivers? You just don't know. There isn't, looked at kind of the pattern in the past, but it's not the clearest. We've seen schools approved with what at the time were relatively low numbers compared to the rest of the county, some at the county average, some even above, but doesn't seem to be any rhyme or reason. So kind of hard to understand that. So it's important to have a real solid plan. We're also now, one thing that's not favorable is that the county numbers and the local numbers are higher than they've been since the waiver process has kind of been in place. So I don't know how that factors in, for the folks at the health department who make the decision on granting the waiver or not. So those are just more questions than answers at this point. Then that's the waiver side of it. The other side of it is, of course, if the governor continues to use the blueprint for, safer economy, and that's the purple, red, orange, yellow tiers, we need to move into the red tier, stay there for 2 weeks, and then we'd be eligible to open. We've been, San Bernardino County has only been in the purple tier, and recently still continuing to kind of trend pretty high. This week, after the adjusted numbers of last week, this week is actually somewhat favorable, which is good, but still well over 8 cases per 100,000 at around 12.3 cases. So obviously you have to continue to drop, and the talk is that obviously as we go into the colder months and flu season, that's not likely. So we'll wait and see on that side. So those are really the bulk of our updates. I'd love to get into any kind of thoughts or questions around anything on your mind, but first, to make sure Ms. Loha has a chance to share anything from your end that I failed to share, you want to share with the community?
No, I think they're pretty much up to date. There hasn't been a whole lot of change since the last board meeting, other than just the team continues to work as hard as they can to make sure that they are providing the best academic environment for your kids.
Yeah, they are definitely doing. Yeah. Diana, anything from the office?
Just the devices. If people were not issued a school device, and if they need one, if they'd like to let us know so that we can prepare one so that they can pick one up. And also maybe open enrollment, just so that people don't forget that if they have any children that they'd like to send for next year, to be sure to fill out an application, and on the application specify that they have a currently enrolled sibling so that they can get that sibling priority.
Great. Yeah, those are two important updates. Our Chromebooks have arrived and they're ready to go. So we can once again say we have more devices than we have students, so nobody should be without a device. Yeah, Diana did push out a kind of a survey, a Google form for you to sign up if you need one, and we'll get you a device. They're ready to be picked up. And then yes, open enrollment has started for next year. So remember, if you have another child on a wait list, or you know somebody who's on our current wait list, those wait lists do not roll over from one year to the next. So it's important that you know those students. You'll have to reapply for those students for the current for next year. This year's wait list does not automatically roll over. So take advantage of that. Get it done. If you're already on a current wait list, then you simply you already have an account, so you just create an application for next year, and that'll get you either right into the school if there's room, or definitely in for the lottery that will be held in March.
Dr. Carmetta, I'm sorry, I forgot to mention one more thing. Sorry for interrupting. Makeup day for pictures is all this week, so if they didn't have a chance to take pictures, even if you don't plan on purchasing any, we're going to use these pictures for the yearbook, so don't forget to check out the Weekly Wolf Update, and you can go to the actual studio, which is off of Central in Chino, and there's a link within the Weekly Wolf Update where you can make an appointment, because you do have to make one. And I did make a mistake on the Weekly Wolf Update. It says November 9th through the 11th, but then if you actually read it, it is actually the 9th through the 13th. So I apologize about that.
Okay, well, that's good. So it's this entire week.
Yes.
Great, yeah. All right, so with that, I believe our chat is disabled, so let me change that. We'd love to hear from you. I want to know how you all are doing.
And then resource pickup on this Thursday for grades 6th, 7th, and 8th from 8:30 in the morning to 4 o'clock in the den, and they do close for lunch from 12 to 1:30.
Thank you for that. So what we asked, for any thoughts or questions, throw either your name or your question itself right into the chat box. That'll help us kind of manage and just go right through. As you can see, we didn't have a lot of dense info to roll out. So we wanted to use this opportunity to really hear from you. So I want to know how you're doing, how are things going, what do we need to do more of, less of. So I am going to take vigorous notes as you kind of give us some feedback or questions. So we're ready for you. I believe chat should be working. And someone will start us off with a comment or question. I'm sure of it. Tammy, you want to take Stacia's question?
Yes, so it says, will report cards be mailed or picked up or emailed? And we intend to mail them out starting on the 20th. We obviously have a lot of gathering and printing and putting them together, but for your convenience, they're all going to be mailed to you. So we'll send out a reminder to watch your mailboxes for that. The next one is, have most waivers in San Bernardino been approved or denied? And what is the likelihood that ours will be approved? And no worries, Katie, that you couldn't make the board meeting.
Yeah. The good news is it looks like the majority, good news if you're a waiver fan, right, is that most of them have been approved. And that seems to have slowed down towards the second half of October. and there's quite a few that are pending. So they don't say, these do not say that they've been denied. That has happened, but usually then what happens is those are resubmitted. So there is a pretty strong approval rate. Again, the question I have is just that ours is coming at a time, where we're seeing the highest number. So I don't know what that, how that will play out in our application. So we'll see. Maybe it has very little bearing on it, but maybe not. It's, we'll know soon enough.
All right, Sana is asking if we go hybrid and pick distance learning, will our teachers stay the same? You want me to go?
Sure, that's our goal, but take it away, Tammy.
That would be our goal. And that's why there's been so many surveys, is to find out what's going, what the thoughts are for our stakeholders at home, as well as where our teachers stand. The unfortunate part is until we get to that, it cannot be 100% guarantee. I can only say that we do want to do our very best to keep our teachers with their same kiddos.
Yeah,
go ahead.
Just to add to it, that's just a reminder that, and I shared this at one of the board meetings recently, no matter what's to come, it requires compromise, from all of us. So I know we have a community where about 70% of the respondents said they would send their students to school if we are able to offer in-person, hybrid learning. Even that's going to require compromise, because it won't be 5 days a week anytime soon. It'll be several days a week for a shorter day to make sure we're meeting the health and safety requirements. And it might mean that, that it may require a teacher change. So we can't rule that out. We're doing everything possible to not change that, because that alone is a pretty good argument to not pursue the waiver, to be honest, or to not bring kids back when now you're asking for a whole new restart of rosters and so on. Not just because it's work for us, we'll do the work. Just, you have to weigh like the relationships that have been built, the knowledge that, that how well we understand and know our kids and their needs, and starting all over is significant academic time loss. So that's just something. So that's just something to consider. But we're doing our best to create a model that doesn't require teacher changes, and that is, the closer we get to it, and knowing and having a full understanding of who's coming back and who's not, then we'll be able to be more confident in that answer. Yeah.
You're welcome. Laura would like to know, what can they as parents do to ensure that the waiver is voted to be used if we should get approval from the county?
Yeah, the best thing is, ultimately this is, I can make a recommendation or not, that our board approves, votes for what to do. So Laura, I think the best thing to do is to make sure our board understands, where you stand, and they read all the emails sent to them. They may not respond, but they'll read them, or they'll, definitely obviously, listen to you in public comment at a board meeting. So the best thing to do is just be direct and share where you stand, on any side of any issue.
All righty. If the waiver is approved, will we still have an option to continue virtually?
Yes, all year, no matter what this year brings. We've already made the decision that home-based learning will be an option. So, and if being at home may look different if we're in hybrid than it does now, I can guarantee you it will look different, but that will remain an option.
Next question. Do we have a plan on making STEAM more hands-on?
Yeah.
I work pretty closely with the enrichment teams, all of the enrichment teachers. And that actually has been something that has been presented from our STEAM teachers themselves. We're trying to figure out a way to get more hands-on opportunities. We have to be cognizant of the fact that a lot of times STEAM projects do require additional resources that many of our families may not have. So I actually have been working on a plan with the enrichment to try to present lessons to me that would enable us, ASA, meaning us, to try to provide some of those materials in order to make sure that all students get that opportunity. So it is in the bigger conversation, please know. And we are looking at, in the event we do come back hybrid or waiver, that those teachers would then get a big opportunity to be face-to-face with kids during those cohorts and providing more hands-on that way as well. So we do realize the challenge of that, but we are working on it. So thank you. That's good input, though.
Yeah, and per se, your question is a really good one, and I think that Ms. Lohof's said what the part that she said that I want to just emphasize is we don't want to create a at-home STEAM program that is so materials intensive that alone just turns kids off, right? And so we know we're a pretty diverse community, so getting materials in one home is very easy, whereas those same materials are going to not be available in another home, and now STEAM is something that is only available for some kids and not others. So it's a tension that's not easy, because obviously it's STEAM and we want kids hands-on, building, breaking things down, building back up, and and inquiring that way, but investigating that way, but at the same time we can't have the demands of it be a turnoff. So I think we've struck the balance right certain times, and other times we know we're off, but it's because we're trying to make it accessible to everybody. So thanks. Very good question.
Yeah, thank you. Mrs. Cruz would like to know, how does the waiver apply to 7th and 8th graders?
Well, it doesn't. The waiver is granted by and overseen by the California Department of Public Health, and the way it was written, it's TK through 6th grade. We're fortunate enough to be in a county that is accepting waivers for that grade span. Others, like LA County, is only looking at waivers for TK through 2nd grade. So they've been even more restrictive. So it just doesn't apply to 7th and 8th graders. So, we're looking at other ways to see if we can get kids back in 7th and 8th grade that still meet the health safety guidelines. But, we're not there yet in those plans. We're just starting those conversations based on what we know and evolving requirements. So simply put, the waiver doesn't apply to 7th and 8th grade.
All right. The next question from Anna is, are you going to require all kids and staff to get COVID testing prior to attending school for easier contact tracing?
Yeah, no, we are not, and we cannot. So we have a plan to inform our staff and strongly encourage them to get tested, and the plan involves everyone being tested on a 2-month, by every 2nd month, 100% of our staff has the opportunity to get tested, but it's not required. And so there's some confidentiality kind of factors there, and so on. And as far as students, no, we won't require students to get tested to return to school. The only exceptions to any of that is if there's a positive case, and someone is claiming they're ready to return, then we may require a test result under certain conditions. And definitely for staff, we'll follow the county health guidelines as far as what happens with students in positive cases. At that point, it'll be, we hand over those decisions to the County Department of Public Health. But as a blanket rule, we won't be requiring students to get tested.
All righty. And this is an enrollment question from Veronica. If I have a child already enrolled there but submitted an application for another child, do I still have to attend a parent information meeting?
You do not. Not a requirement at all. We don't take roll. We don't do any of that. So we definitely encourage, especially families who are not in the community, to understand what we're about and what we're not about. The whole point of the parent informational meetings is to help them make an informed choice about allegiance. We don't want them coming here thinking that it's something that it's not. So not required of anyone to complete an application. We just strongly encourage it for those who don't know us to attend.
All right, next question. Will there be an option for independent study with a designated IS teacher?
So we don't run an independent study program. It's in our MOU with Chino Valley. It's also in our charter. We do not operate an independent study program as a placement. We only use it for short term, for like prolonged absences, and so on. So that we won't be doing that. Our home-based option for this year looks similar to an independent study program, but it's not independent study. it's home-based because of COVID, and it hasn't been determined now if there's a designated home-based teacher or if it's the classroom teacher who that allows us to keep the students enrolled to the same teachers. We're leaning towards keeping, instead of having designated home-based teachers, which we might not be able to do, and we may have to do that, then it'll be, Rhonda, it'll be similar to what you're asking here, where there is a designated home-based learning teacher, but our goal is to keep students enrolled and rostered where they currently are, and support the teachers in being able to teach the students who are coming to school and those who are on their rosters but are staying home. So, but just so everyone hears that we won't be running an independent study program.
Great, and Ms. Morales has left a very nice compliment, and we do understand that the inability to provide assistance at home does get in the way, and I appreciate your response as far as your preference for distance learning. We also appreciate your efforts and everything that you bring to the school, so thank you for that. The next question is from Jada, and it says, how does the sibling waitlist work for a 7th grade student?
So Jada, I might need you to clarify. You have the waitlist works the same regardless of grade level. So let me start there, and then maybe we can unmute you and expand on that. So. And Diana, you can interrupt me at any moment. So Jada, if you're okay with it, I unmuted you, but do you mind elaborating a minute? I just want to make sure I understand your question. And feel free to type it if that's easier, but if not, speak. Well, I'll take a stab at what I think you asked, and you can.
It is a sibling wait list. Yeah.
You have a senior student and want to enroll my 7th grader next year. Great. Okay. Thank you for expanding on that. So, and just so again, at the end of the day, the grade levels are not affected differently by how the wait list works. The only way they're affected differently is which grade level has a wait list and which ones don't, right? So you have a kindergarten student now, you want to enroll your 7th grader next year. So because you have a student enrolled in the school, you will go to Schoolmint on the admissions page of our website. You will complete the application like anybody else who doesn't have a sibling or does have a sibling. Anybody else at this point, everything is the same. You're completing your application for your 7th grader. So now when we close open enrollment and Diana closes it down so she can prepare everything for the lottery, we'll start to have a better understanding of how many openings we have in 7th grade, which by the way is a grade where we will have openings next year. So then once we have a good sense of that, as part of the lottery, we actually admit the siblings first. They're technically exempt from the lottery by being admitted first. So if they're going to be, let's say there's going to be 30 7th graders enrolled next year that are not enrolled in our school currently, right? So new to our school, and we have 3 siblings like yours, Jada, right? Yours, who has a kinder sibling. Then those 3 siblings would automatically get in, and then 27 kids would get in through the lottery. So that's how that works. You have a sibling priority because the 7th grader sibling's already in school. Hope that helps.
Dr. Cognetta, can you just specify how technically everybody does get put into the lottery? I think that a lot of parents think that they'll be informed of the child's placement before the lottery if they have a sibling.
Yeah.
Maybe just explain how it happens all at one time.
Yeah, and sorry, we apologize for the nuanced language because yes, on the day that we hold the lottery, the siblings, that's the same day that siblings are first admitted if there's enough room for them. Because the caveat to what I just said is that if we have 5 siblings at one grade level, but we only have 2 spots, we actually have a sibling lottery first, right? Before anybody else. So there's all these little layers of how the priorities work, but try to simplify it as much as possible. And Diana, you can chime in as well. it isn't until the day the lottery is held that anybody who's not enrolled in the school then learns of or is offered a spot. So there's, if you're looking to get in next year, we're not telling you before the lottery that your child is in for next year. Even now, I can't guarantee you, Jada, that your 7th grader is in for next year because they have a sibling. They have a really good chance because we know we'll have openings. But if we have far more siblings, again, unlikely, but if we have far more siblings in 7th grade than we have open spots, then we have to hold a sibling lottery, and your child, is subject to that lottery. If there are more open spots than siblings, then your sibling gets right in on the day of the lottery, and soon after that, you're notified. Dana, did that kind of go into that? Or?
Yes, that explained it well. Thank you.
Whew.
All right, the next one is, will you be opening more spots for 3rd grade next school year?
So we currently have 90 3rd graders. We have 3 general ed 3rd grade teachers, but we have 4 2nd grade teachers, so 120 students in 2nd grade. So 3rd grade next year we'll add a teacher because we want to accommodate our 4 classrooms of 2nd graders that we have. So we don't anticipate opening up far more spots. What will happen, Vincent, on this is we may lose students to attrition. We may lose students who move, who parents put them in a different school that are currently in 2nd grade. And so instead of 120 2nd graders going to 3rd grade, we'll be ready for 130 3rd graders, right? We'll have 4 teachers for that. But maybe we lose, 1 or 2 or 5 or whatever, and maybe 1 is retained. And so now those spots become available because of these kind of natural changes in schools, but the plan right now is to add the additional class because we have 4 2nd grade classrooms and we only have 3 3rd grade classrooms. So our plan is to add that teacher to accommodate the students, but not a whole nother class. And I say that in contrast with, like, currently we have 2 6th grade classes, but next year we'll have 3 7th grade classes. So that is an additional class that we're bringing up. That's the current plan. So when I say all this, that's our growth plan. It's 2020 and we've seen anything and everything happen. So please note that even all this that I'm sharing is subject to change. But that's how we're seeing 2nd to 3rd grade next year, Vincent. I hope that helps.
And there are no other questions right now. You still have time. Put your questions in there.
What else is on your mind? Give 1 compliment to about your child and 1 about your child's teacher if you have no questions. Let's celebrate them, or our paraprofessionals, or our awesome front office, whomever's on your mind. Heather did it. Shout out to Miss Rabina and Miss Lohoff.
Thank you.
Did you see that? Thank you, Heather. That's super kind and spot on. I agree. Do you, Ms. Lohoff, did you see the question there for?
Yes, for supplies. I do see, do you currently have supply lists for which you are taking or need donations for? Or will you, as the need arises, for those of us able to make donations, like if needed for STEAM? That is a wonderful idea. And yes, we will always let you know. We are always collecting PPE at this point. So any of those donations, we are able to take at any time in the office, that the office is open. In the meantime, if we do have other needs that we could really use some donations for, we absolutely will let you know. Thank you very much.
And Queen Boss said to send a list of donations out, so you better do it, Ms. Lohoff.
You got it.
Don't say no.
Queen Boss.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah. Crystalline's question, is there still only 1 TK class? Yes. And that's the plan for next year too.
We're getting shout outs to teachers and the staff, Mrs. Chavez and Mrs. Dizon. Thank you very much. From Elena, would you prefer students to use ASA laptops or can they continue using their own?
Our preference is that you use ours, but we understand that at this point, especially since so many of you have had to rely on your own devices. If it's just another change and, you know, obstacle for your kids, and it's not a deal breaker for us. Elena, just, I know we will have a plan for those of you using iPads. We need to take them back and configure them. We'll roll out the plan, you know, in the next couple of weeks. Those we will need to get back and get to you, because yeah, we just need to manage them remotely better, and we have a plan for that. So in short, if you want to continue using your own device and that hasn't been a problem, do it. But we have enough devices if you want to get one of ours. There are slightly, if you're at all concerned about like, you know, just security, using our devices is a little better. I'll just give you an example. You know, if the students are on our Chromebooks and they're conducting, you know, Google searches for anything, any keywords that kind of catch our attention, then we get that. But if they're on your device and they're not logged in on their school account, we'll never see it, right? And now it's just something occurring elsewhere. So if you are thinking you want that additional layer of security, then taking our device is helpful. You know, it's helped us in instances of cyberbullying, of some tough stuff that our kids are grappling with because they're on our devices, and you know, looking up certain terms and so on, we were able to identify that and respond. So for that reason, you know, if this is all in concern, there's an argument for using our devices. But again, at this point, it's your call. So we have enough. We'll take them we'll get you one if you want one. Yeah.
And just in case they're on this call, Mrs. Torsak, Mrs. Valenta, Ms. Harmer, Mrs. Okamoto, Ms. Ranslum, they're all getting huge shout outs. Ms. Charlson,
Right.
Ms. Fabro, we really appreciate that. And I know that the teachers do. So thank you very much.
Yeah. Yeah, we want to, I want to
thank you, Heather.
Take the chance, opportunity to say the same to you. You know, in different ways I've shared this iteration, but it doesn't make it any easier to navigate. You know, from the spring on, you know, your world was turned upside down too, you know, just in educating your kids. So we're fully aware that anything that we do from a distance still leans heavily on you. So as much as we try to alleviate that and be very mindful and sensitive to kids, we know that this doesn't happen without you rolling up your sleeves and working side by side with us. So we want to send out a heartfelt thank you as well. This program is working as well as it is, given all the crazy circumstances, because we're doing it together, not anything we're doing alone at all. So definitely not to discredit the hard work of our teachers. I see how hard they're working. I don't know if the staff has ever worked as hard as this group is working right now, but we also want to acknowledge your role. So grateful to do this work with you. Any last questions or shout outs?
Mrs. Bandoy, thank you, Beatrice. Ms. Alvarez, we've almost hit all the teachers. You guys are amazing. Miss Cullen, thank you. Her favorite teacher thus far, and you know what, that speaks volumes from a distance learning perspective. So thank you for that.
Awesome, cool. Margarita. With the timely and important reminder, yeah, please do. If you haven't participated in the Grab and Go meal program, come by Friday. Margarita and Clara and parent Veronica, who's on here, who's been volunteering and helping, they prepare multiple meals for hundreds of kids and distribute them on Friday. So come on by and grab some. They're available to the entire community. They're not just for ASA kids. Yeah. And thank you, Jen. Reminder.
Yes.
Mandy.
There we go, Ms. Gil Cullen. The communication between students and teachers has also been amazing. They've all been so quick to answer our questions via email or other sources of communication. And we pride ourselves in that communication that is constantly a conversation with all of us, and the best way to make sure that we try real hard not to let anything slip by. Mrs. Coronado is amazing. Yes, she is. She was my student teacher.
Well, taking a little bit of credit for that
A
one.
little bit of credit.
That's good.
She is amazing.
Yeah, well, those of you in 7th and 8th grade, this week we welcome back Miss P Jung.
Yes.
Yeah, so she's back from her maternity leave, and so we got to reshuffle a little bit of our middle grades team. Mr. Shipes back in science, and Miss P Jung in math, and so on. So it's like the band's back together again, sort of moment.
Finally, right?
Yeah.
I bet Mr. Shipes is really relieved. Shout out to Mrs. Campagna. Another reminder about the Seas Candy fundraiser. It does, I think December 4th is the last day on that. So you want to make sure that you access that, and they're sending them directly to your homes. Huge thanks out for our Paris. 100%. They are working really hard as well. So there is a question. You probably can't see it. It says, hello, everyone. Does our school offer any type of one-on-one tutoring? Thanks for all your hard work.
Where did I miss that one?
It came in privately. I think,
Oh, okay.
you know, you have to click that little box.
Yeah, gotcha. Okay, gotcha. So one-on-one tutoring, so teachers have office hours and so on, but one-on-one tutoring happens within those hours. I know some teachers have extended their days at times when, to accommodate kids' schedules, but teachers do hold time, some office hours, and it's different by grade level, by teacher, but there is availability for small group and even at times one-on-one. So within the teacher's day. You want to add to that, Ms. Loha? Is there anything else I missed there? I'm grateful for you.
Trying to unmute. There we go. Because of my traffic, I apologize, everyone. The only thing I know, and we've had this request a couple of times, we do not refer to outside one-on-one tutors. So that unfortunately is not something that we take responsibility for. Because always when you refer somebody, sometimes it's not always the best option. And we want you as parents choosing what is the best option for your children. Thank you, Rachel. We are very grateful for you as well. And we do miss those kids and everyone else. This is my first year for my daughter. This is from Vincent. So she didn't get to experience in-school learning, but she says she does like her new school. So they're really, very thankful for all the teachers and the staff. Ms. Borges just got a shout out. Bernadette Stroud. Good evening, Mrs. Stroud. How do you go about recommending an accommodation for a teacher to both the school and district? Maybe you need to be a little clearer on that.
Yeah, I'm sure I follow Bernadette. Maybe, and if we want, we can talk offline. Mm-hmm. Give you a call tomorrow or something, but I'm curious. I guess I need clarification on what that is.
Can you send an email to that, Mrs. Stroud?
I like your hello, though.
Hello. Will do. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
All right. And then Carmen would like to know, do we expect any one-on-one meetings with teachers to discuss the report card?
Go ahead.
You want me? Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. I do know that teachers do plan once report cards go out. First off, if there's a question that a parent would have, please reach out to your teacher because they will be more than happy to accommodate a conversation with you. We do have ongoing for students that might be challenged or struggling. Our teachers are really very good at reaching out. And I do anticipate that there will be families or parents that are reached out, especially if they're on special learning plans or something of that nature.
Yeah. Any last thoughts, gang? Gotcha, Bernadette. Okay, yeah, email me and we'll chat. We'll chat a little further. Well, great.
Thumbs up.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll go 3 count here for any other questions. Again, I'd love to hear from you guys, and know what's on your mind, what questions you have, and do our best to kind of keep you informed. I guess that's the thought that comes to mind. I was reflecting today. Oh, Evan's question: can I buy spirit gear for my son? Jen Stevens, I know you're on here somewhere, right? Do you want
So Dr. Cognetta, with that, I'm sorry.
to? Yeah, you know the answer. Take it away, Diana.
I was just going to say they can email spiritwear@asathrive.org, and one of the girls from the pack will get back to them, and they usually find out from the parent what they would like, and then they can arrange the parent to, they'll talk to the parent about payment and how to go ahead and pick the items up. spiritwear@asathrive.org.
I love that you're asking that question, because that means your child is engaged at home with the school. That's great. Mrs. Weinstock gets a shout out.
Of all the years, yeah. That changes soon for us, right? Yeah.
Thank you, Laura.
Yeah. Yeah. Great. Well, thank you guys. Yeah, one for the books, right, this year. So when it just keeps throwing more at us. So we keep facing it though. That's one of the things that I was reflecting on, like just proud of this community, this staff, our students, you for at every turn we just face what's in front of us and take it head on, and that's why we can go to sleep at night knowing that we're doing the best we can for our kids, and all understand we need to be doing more and want to be doing more, but with confidence we know we're making decisions in their best interests, and we'll continue to do that, and can't wait till we get them back. So know that, and everything within our control we are going to be doing to get our kids back and give them what they deserve. So thanks for working with us. Really, really grateful for this, being a part of this community, both in my role as CEO, but even as a parent. So I didn't get a chance to type too slow, but I will, echo the thoughts here on the amazing work of our staff in meeting our kids' needs in this time. Thanks, everyone. Enjoy tomorrow. Yes. Have a good night, guys. Thank you again.
Bye. Thank you.